ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We saw the whole argument about why Pratyavaya dosha does not apply to the person studying Vedanta who has decided to give up Nitya Karma, Naimittika Karma, or who has decided to not go on the path of Karma, Karma Phala, etc. We saw that. And why is that? The Pratyavaya dosha does not apply because many reasons were given. All the karmas cannot be simultaneously be practiced by all the people. So everybody cannot be doing all the homas. Some homas are already for married people, some homas are for brahmachari, some homas are for wanting children, some homas are for getting rid of the children. No. That one already has. No. So, just checking to see if everybody is awake. That's all. So, there are a lot of homas. Every homa everybody cannot do. There are chairs here. You can come and sit if you would like. Yeah. So, everybody cannot do all the homas. So therefore, what is the wisdom here? The wisdom is that even in the Karma Kanda, all the homas are not being done by all the people. So that is the first reason, that you can't tell me that if I don't do something, I'll get some kind of an omission. I'll incur a papa of omission. Then the second reason that we talked about yesterday was that in order to have this Pratyavaya dosha, then that means what? I have to take myself as the doer. And this itself is a superimposition upon the I that is free of doing. So if I take myself as the doer, then I have the wonderful prasada of what? Guilt. Guilt is the prasada of doership. Oh, but I don't want this prasada. Well, this is what happens. Doership has its own effect, and that is guilt. Why did I not do this? Why I had to do this? How I did this? Why didn't I do this? This is guilt. And then this is kartritva prasada. Kartritva means doership. So the prasada of kartritva buddhi, buddhi means the identification that I am the doer, is a lifelong feeling of guilt. Who wants to be guilty? Raise your hand. Nobody. So there is no way of getting rid of the guilt other than to interrogate the very important assumption, a wrong assumption and an important assumption. What is the important assumption? That I is the I, the self, is intrinsically a doer. This notion has to be interrogated. This notion has to be questioned. Because, you see, like this is what is called simple Anvaya Vyatireka. Whenever I have doership, what do I have? Guilt. When I do not have doership, there is no guilt. So therefore, doership is the cause of guilt. This is basic baby logic. So in the presence of doership, guilt comes. When there is no doership, guilt does not come. Supposing if one were to say, I don't know a time when I'm not a doer. I like doing, I'm a doer. I'm doing, constantly doing. How can I experience non-doership? I have never experienced non-doership. You have experienced non-doership. You experience it continuously at night. When? In sleep. Or in Vedanta class. Also in sleep. Best sleep comes in Vedanta class. Delicious sleep because it has been blessed by Lord Krishna. Yes. Sleep Devi went to Gudaka Devi, went to Lord Krishna and said, what's wrong with these people? I don't know where my place is. They have all become nocturnal, these people. They don't know how to rest. They are all the time looking at Facebook and updating their things in the middle of the night. They are scrolling and they are doing all kinds of things. Where is my place? Wherever I see, they are all just doing all kinds of things. Where is my place, O Lord? And the Lord looked at the world and felt very bad for Gudaka Devi and said, wherever there is Harikatha, wherever there is Vedanta class, because I am being talked about, wherever I am the subject matter of the topic discussed. So, there you will find your place of rest. That's why I never wake anybody up who is sleeping in the class. Yeah. Because it's a prasada of Lord Krishna. Who am I to interfere with that? It's your good karma that has made you nod off during Tattvamasi lecture. So who am I to wake you up? Therefore, I do not wake anybody up. In fact, many people felt happy that we have switched the class here. Because those who have been coming for a long time know that this is where we used to have all our classes. And there is a certain, Lord is here, we are here, it's like a temple, there is a certain beauty about it, there is a certain history about it. Some people, however, miss the other classroom. Why? Yes. You can sit in the back and nod off. Here, not so much, not so easy. In the what's its name? In Kartritvam, there is guilt. Kartritvam, doership produces guilt. Doership means identification with the wrong notion, I am the doer, is the cause of guilt. Doership is the cause of guilt. And when I am not a doer, I don't feel guilty. No, but whenever I wake up in Vedanta class, I do feel a little guilty. But when do you feel guilty? After you wake up, not when you are asleep. When you are asleep, you don't feel guilty at all. And then, bhoktritvam. What is bhoktritvam? The identification with the notion, the wrong notion that I am an experiencer, produces what? Hurt, is the cause of hurt. In other words, experiencership or the notion I am the experiencer, the wrong notion, the misapprehension of the I as an experiencer leads to severe hurt. In other words, what is that? It is just I am affected by other people's omissions and commissions. Guilt is the pain produced by not being able to live with my own omissions and commissions. Hurt is the pain produced by not being able to live with other people's omissions and commissions. Even the Taittiriya Upanishad says this. Kimaham sadhu na karavam. Why didn't I do the right thing? Why did I do the wrong thing? Taittiriya Upanishad talks about guilt, which is identified as the I, wrongly identified as the I. And then hurt is what? Why did they not do the right thing by me? Why did they do the wrong thing? So somebody forgetting somebody's birthday. This is an act of omission. Okay, they forgot my birthday, so what's the big deal? No, I'm hurt. By their not doing something, I'm hurt. And then what? Okay, next year, they remembered your birthday. Still you're hurt. Why? Because they remembered the birthday all right, but the present was so small that I needed a magnifying glass to look at it. Therefore, I am hurt. So other people's omissions and commissions and my own omissions and commissions is the prasada of doership and experiencership. So, therefore, dropping the notion I am the doer frees me from the guilt, all guilt, including the guilt of pratyavaya dosha. Oh, but pratyavaya dosha, we don't know where it is mentioned. Adi Shankara says it is mentioned in the Shruti. Anandagiri says it is mentioned in the Smriti. And but we don't. Smriti we can find many. Smriti means Puranas and all the secondary texts. We have a number of numerous references to Pratyavaya. But if it has Shruti backing, maybe that is lost to us. Nobody is able to find that, those references. So, but nonetheless, if those, even if it has Vedic backing, etc., or whether it doesn't have, doesn't matter. This Pratyavaya dosha or Pratyavaya and Kartritvam, Bhoktritvam, Karma, Karma phala, Papa, Punya, all these things, why are they mentioned? If I don't need to do this, if I have to grow out of this, why is it mentioned to begin with? The answer is very, very clear. It's a model. This is what we saw yesterday. It's a model. Karma is a model whereby one learns to walk on the road of dharma, learns to balance one's bicycle and learns to walk on the road of dharma. And if I don't know how to ride a bicycle, what happens? I start with a tricycle. Some training wheels, something will be put. And then after that, I need it no more. I do not need it anymore at all. I can let go of that because it is a model that is designed for me to grow out of. And this growing out of it is what is, you don't even need Atma Jnanam to grow out of this. Karma Yoga itself is enough because the doership is dedicated to Bhagavan. And the receivership, what did we call it? Experiencership is also dedicated to Bhagavan because whatever comes I see as prasada. Not very easy because sometimes it is prasada, sometimes it is prasada, but nonetheless it is prasada. Nonetheless it is prasada. This I have to understand, I have to get to that place. And so there itself, Pratyavaya is there, is gone. Because the omissions, commissions, other people's omissions and commissions I do not attach to. And Lord Krishna points this out in the Bhagavad Gita itself. He says, Pratyavayo na vidyate. There is no Pratyavaya. In the 3rd chapter he says. 2nd chapter itself he says. And then, Swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. This Karma Yoga, seeing everything as Bhagavan, seeing the doer as Bhagavan, and then seeing the giver of Karma Phaladata as Bhagavan, protects me from the greatest of fears. Protects me. And therefore, I have to understand this. And so here, the Pratyavaya argument, for many reasons, has been shot down. And then it says that ahankara phalarthitve vidyete. So when is Pratyavaya applicable? Pratyavaya is applicable for the Ajna. Ajna means knowledgeable, right? No. Yeah, ignorant. For the one who is self-ignorant, Pratyavaya is applicable. Pratyavaya means, I have to be guilty if I don't do this. If I do this, I have to be hurt. I have to do like this. I have to not do like this. All this is there for the Ajnani who has the wrong understanding of oneself as doer, as done in by other people's action. Karta bhokta, karta bhokta, karta bhokta. And this karta bhokta, why is one addicted to that status? Because of karma phala. The addiction to the karma phala is what causes this kartritva bhoktritva buddhi. And then, so this is how one has to understand this. And then, therefore, ahankara phalarthitve. So, ahankara phalarthitve sati. Ahankara means the I notion that is mired in the everyday. The I notion that is unable to extricate itself from this world of doing and receiving other people's doings. The I notion that's completely incapable of extricating itself. Why? Because it is not ready for the knowledge. And it is not interested in being ready for the knowledge. What is it interested in? Just fighting with other people. Being a disruptive presence and disturbing everybody else. That's the definition in the Bhagavad Gita of an asura. More about that in Washington DC, which is the 16th chapter over there. Next leg of the trip. Okay. So now suffice it to say that asura is that. Asushu ramante iti asuraha. The ones that only are interested in their own sensory gratifications. What they want at the cost of others. They want it right now. And even if the whole world is disturbed, so be it. I'm going to get my way. My way or the highway. This is their philosophy. So such people, even if Bhagavan or Bhagavati himself, herself come and instruct, even if Goddess Sharada comes and Shardamba comes and says, you know what, here let me teach you. What? Brahma Vidya. Not successful. Even they have to say, Om Namaha. So be it. Tathastu. We see in the Upanishad itself, Virojana, the king of, Asuras, goes to Prajapati for the knowledge. Actually, he doesn't go. Indra goes. He is like a shadow of Indra who goes. Virojana is an Asura. And the Devas and the Asuras both heard Prajapati at a public lecture in an assembly. Public discourse. Oh, Asuras were attending the public discourse? No, they were fighting outside. Devas were inside. These people were, chindi, bhindi, they were fighting and cutting up each other outside. They were self-destructing outside. Okay? Then somehow the lure of Brahma Vidya is such, like certain things, like pakodas frying on a rainy day. Everybody smells it even if you don't want to. So like this, and what was the pakoda here? Prajapati's expression. Atma apahata papma vijaraha vimrityuhu vishokaha. He said like these. Just a few words. And for a moment they stopped fighting. Right? Even with all their ayudhas and their fierce expressions softened, and they stopped fighting. They said, oh, Atma apahata papma. Atma is beyond all papa. Even they knew that they were doing papa, but they said, oh, Atma means I don't have papa. Yay, yippee, this is wonderful. Vijaraha does not grow old. And the asuras, who are very body identified and body oriented, what did they say to themselves? I won't grow old. Body will be wonderful, very nice. Vijaraha, vimrityuhu, not subject to death, even better for world domination, because that's their only raga. They have only one raga. What is that? I want to control everything and everybody else. And you see, in the 8th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad, Prajapati does not teach until Virochana departs. And in fact, he makes the exit of Virochana quickly by kind of telling him the Vidya, but not telling the whole of it. Everything that is here, starting with your body, is Atma. He starts to teach. The asuras are distracted. Virochana is totally distracted. Oh, body is Atma. I want to see Atma. I want to see Atma. Brings a big cauldron of water and says, please look at the Atma. Then Virochana also looks at the Atma. Indra also looks at the Atma. And they both say, fantastic. Atma has biceps, triceps, a fantastic curlable mustache, which is, what is that called? It has a name. Handlebar mustache. It's like you can open the door with the mustaches. It's like a handle. It's all gelled and made into this, And so they said, this is Atma. Oh, very nice. This body is the Atma. Virochana was very happy because the definition of Atma, what he thought was the definition of Atma, matched his own understanding. And he went away happily. Indra also went away thinking the instruction is done. Prajapati, looking at them leave the ashram, said, look at these two fools going away without the knowledge, thinking they have the knowledge. And to protect Brahma Vidya, he makes a kind of a prophecy. He said, whoever is going to teach what they heard from me, this incomplete understanding that they heard from me, whoever is going to teach that thinking this is Atma Vidya, that parampara will not survive. And what did Virochana do? Virochana went to his Asura land and opened a Gurukula. Really? Asura Vidya Gurukulam. That is what it was called. Not Arsha Vidya. Asura Vidya. Yeah. See, people thought it was the same. Yeah, it's not the same. Small difference. You have to listen carefully. He opened Asura Vidya Gurukula. What did he teach there? You are as good as the body. Feed the bodies, my dear fellow. Feed your body. Feed everything. Feed your feelings. Feed Anatma. That is the real origin, the secret origin of this store called Body Shop. Yeah. The first The first branch was opened there in Asura Vidya Gurukula. Okay. So there was a Brahma Vidya fail. Brahma Vidya fail? No, Brahma Vidya never fails. But Brahma Vidya fails to attract asuras. It's got its own protective mechanism. And why do we have to go as far as Prajapati even? Who is the guru of asuras? Shukracharya. Even Shukracharya could not teach them. Poor thing, that was his prarabdha, that he had Rakshasas as students. He kept pleading with them, don't go in the middle of yajnas and throw wings of crows and all these things, don't spoil. They would say, Bho Guru, for 2 minutes, and then after that again distracted and go do all the things they were not supposed to do. He must have been a harried guru, poor thing. But he also taught Brahma Vidya. It's not that he taught anything different. They were not in a ready place to accept it. And so, when the self-enquiry begins, and with the help of the auxiliary, the qualifications, such as Shamadama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam, Viveka, Vairagya, Mumukshutvam, when the enquiry takes this particular turn, then the Asuri Vritti goes down. Because there are a few stories of asuras being turned around, or people behaving like asuras being turned around. Valmiki is a prime and oft quoted example. He was behaving just like an asura, but with a little direction was able to turn around. And so this whole understanding, the misunderstanding that I am permanently a doer, or that this doership is intrinsic to the definition of I, and I am permanently a bhokta. The experiencership is a intrinsic accoutrement to this I. Both of them have to be overcome. Both have to be overcome. And so Pratyavaya is not there. And then Pratyavaya is not there. Pratyavaya is there for who? Ahankaris, Ajnanis. For Ajnanis, Pratyavaya is there. Why? Because the Ahankara, the I notion which says, I am the doer, that I, the notion which attaches to the doer, that is what he thinks of it as Karta. So two conditions are given why one is involved in karma and why one is unable to come out of this. Two conditions are given. One is the Ahankara that refuses to be taught, refuses to be lightened of the burden that it is Karta. Forget enlightened. The Ahankara that refuses to be taught is the first thing, and then the second thing is Phalarthitvam. Phalarthitvam means, Phalarthitvam is the desire or the addiction to karma phala. That is Phalarthitvam. Desires. Addiction to desires becomes Phalarthitvam, and then Ahankara Phalarthitve. When these two are present, then only to such people alone the Pratyavaya, the karma phala applies, not to the mumukshus, not to the jnanis. This was made clear. Now further, he concludes, the next verse is a concluding verse, and after that he ends on a very intriguing note, this first chapter, because it kind of is a beginning of something else. We'll see that. So the 25th verse, he is summing up everything that we have seen so far. Tasmadajnanahanaya samsara vinivrittaye Brahma Vidya Vidhanaya prarabdhopanishadtviyam tasmadajnanahanaya samsara vinivrittaye brahma vidya vidhanaya prarabdhopanishadtviyam. Tasmat. A very big therefore. Therefore what? Therefore means all the things that we have seen so far. Karma khandanam. Karma as a means to moksha has been defeated. The notion that karma is a means to moksha has been severely defeated from all angles. From the religious angle, from the secular angle, from the angle of do-worship, and then from the angle of experiencership. It has been thoroughly defeated. Because karma is finite, karma phala is finite. Therefore I need what? Knowledge. I am not lacking in knowledge. Because I already know that I'm meant to be happy. Everybody knows that I'm meant to be happy. I was walking from one place to another at some retreat, and then I met this 3-year-old sitting like this. I said, "What's the matter?" "Today," and she referred to herself as the third person. She referred to herself as the name. I forgot whatever name she said. "Today, this child is sad." I said, "That's a great observation." That's a wonderful observation that you can see this, that you can see your sadness. Yeah. I said, "But that means you are not really sad because you can see it." And she looked like this. "I'll have to think about that." Was a little non-committal. That time she didn't say, "This child will have to think about that." That time it was first person. "I'll have to think about that. I'll get back to you." So, the whole karma khandanam means I am, that sadness and that sorrow is not removable by karma. It is removable by action only for a short time. You can go to the pictures, you can see a movie, you can go to some potluck, even though you don't like going to potlucks. Same people, same topic, same dishes. Yeah. Of course, you are also taking the same dish, but here we are talking about what other people are dishing out. Same thing. But still you go. Why? Because staying home alone means confronting myself as a sad person, as an angry person, as a fearful person. This is the problem. This has to be taken care of. And if I don't take care of this now, then it is never going to be taken care of. So therefore, the death of the notion that I can fix it by action becomes the birth of my journey to Brahma Vidya. That is how it is. One has to die before the other one can be born. You can't have karma and action together. This is the whole summary of the first chapter. Karma and action together. That means that, karma and jnanam together. I'm glad you were paying attention. You can't have action and knowledge together. You can't have karma and jnanam together. It's like saying, I'll have a little tiny bit of moksha and a little bit of samsara just to season my life. Some little bit of moksha, little bit of samsara. Either you are on the path of knowledge or you are not. There is no ifs, buts and in-betweens about it. That commitment has to be there. Oh, but what about my family? What about them? They'll thank you for studying this knowledge. They'll say, oh my God, if we had known that this was going to fix our mother, our father, our brother, our sister, we would have enrolled you in an ashram long ago. Because here is where you learn. This is the role is you, but you know, you are not the role. Here is where you learn the inner space. Here is where you learn to just do everything smilingly rather than begrudgingly. I have to cook all the time. Oh, I have to go to the office all the time. You want your allowance? Take. You know, this is you want some food? Here, take. This is, this is what one was before Vedanta. Then while one is studying, one is becoming a better son, a better daughter, a better spouse, a better mother, a better father, a better friend, a better employer, a better employee. What is there to lose? Only one thing, your self-ignorance. Nothing else is there to lose. This is why this knowledge has to be totally embraced. Because it cannot be done side by side with the commitment to karma. Commitment means that I am a karta, this commitment. That commitment has to be questioned. The I as permanently attached to karta, karma, karma phala has to be questioned. So the jnana karma samuchchaya, the wrong notion that jnanam needs karma or needs something else in addition to this knowledge is been totally just made threadbare. In fact, all those arguments just disappeared. And so, that is the meaning of tasmat, whatever we have done so far. Karma and 3 arguments we have seen, and all of them the khandanam was done. Let us just recap those arguments because this chapter can then be continue to be fresh in the minds. What was the first argument? That sahakaritvam, that karma, jnanam needs something else. And what is the stock example? Fire is what cooks the rice. Yes? Yes. But can you just throw the rice in the fire? No, you need pot. You need water. But then a wonderful argument is given by the Tikakara to refute this. And what is that argument? Yes, you may need pot and water to simultaneously to cook the rice. But do you need to be husking the rice as you are cooking it? No. The husking and the winnowing and the threshing of the rice are preparations to cook the rice. So whatever karma we advocate in the form of karma yoga, in the form of whatever is needed to be done to get maturity, emotional maturity, such as karma yoga, and then such as shama, dhamma, titiksha, cultivation of shraddha, all that is action. But it is not action like they are not factors such as pot and water. If rice is jnanam, pot and water are shama, dhamma and karma yoga, you cannot argue. Why? Because these are gained before. Even if they are not completely gained before, they are gained as something I need to do. They are understood before. Very beautiful. So then, therefore, that argument is gone. Sahakaritvam argument is gone. Then what is the next one? It is vihita. Vihita means the Veda compulsorily asks you to do it. And that was also completely cut up by saying that there are differences. Different karmas apply to different people. Everybody does not have the same karma. So therefore, the Karma Kanda, the first portion of the Veda, does not actually ask you to do everything. Even there you pick and choose, and so therefore you don't have to, you cannot say that this is not something that is done. Finally, there is part 2 of this Vihita argument. Vihita karma means it is enjoined. I have to do this. There's one more part B of this argument. What is that? The people interested in certain karma phalas, the ones who want this, ones who want that, are drawn to certain karmas. And how can you say that only the first portion of the karma kanda is vihita? It has injunctory statements. Statements of injunctions and prohibitions. The first portion of the Veda only doesn't have. Even the last portion of the Veda, Vedanta, has prescriptive statements such as Atma va are drashtavyah, shrotavyah, mantavyah, nididhyasitavyah. You must know the Atma. Drashtavyah. Darshanartham kim kartavyam? What should I do in order to know the Atma? Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, these are all things to do. So how can you say that this Vihita alone applies and the other injunctions in the other part does not apply? See, we flipped the switch on him. Because the Purva Pakshi, what was he saying? That you are ignoring the Purva Bhaga of the Veda, you are ignoring the first part of the Veda and solely focused on the last portion, and this is not correct. And so now what are we saying? You are solely focused on the first portion and you have forgotten that there is even a last portion of the Veda. This is not correct. What was the third argument? Pratyavaya dosha, just what we have been discussing. Pratyavaya cannot be there. We saw all the reasons, I'm not going to repeat. We have seen this, even now we have summarized this. So Pratyavaya argument is dropped in the wake of the understanding that I am no longer guilty, I am no longer hurt, I am no longer karta or bhokta. This is what is dropped. So this is a very big tasmat. Tasmat, therefore, ajnana hanaya, for the destruction of ignorance. Ajnana hanaya, hanam, destruction. Destruction of what? Ajnanam. Ajnanasya hanaya. Destruction of the ajnanam is equal to knowledge. Why? Because the knowledge is as though eclipsed by this ajnanam. Samsara vinivrittaye. This is something he himself says. Samsara vinivrittaye. And then vinivrittaye means samsara returns. Samsara does a U-turn. From who? You. So U-turn here means it turns away from you. Samsara says, bye-bye, I can't remain with you. I need a divorce. I am going away. I can't be with you any longer because you don't acknowledge me. You don't know how to be with me. Therefore what? I'll go and be with somebody else who appreciates me, who appreciates the drama I bring to their lives, who appreciates the defensiveness I bring to their life, who appreciates the control issues, whose whole life is dedicated to strife and conflict. There are many people out there. Shame on you. I'm off. I'm off to greener pastures of envy and discontentment, of demandingness and neediness, of subjectivity. I'm off to play in those waters. Splash, splash. And you, who are what? You, that's why it's called you, useless. That's what you are. You are totally useless. I don't like you at all. I'm never going to see you again. I'm never going to talk to you again. And what does the person of Vedanta say? Tathastu. So be it always. Which is why a certain popular Vada which says if one person gets enlightened, one person gets moksha, everybody gets moksha. It's a very lazy view because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to study Vedanta. So what shall I do then? I'll wait for somebody else to get moksha. Keep waiting. Somebody else will definitely get moksha. You won't get moksha if you have that belief that when one person gets moksha, everybody gets moksha. And where does this silly argument come from? We are all one. Well, do you know? Do we all know that we are one? Is that why that as soon as we leave this hall, sometimes even before we start fighting, is that why? So we don't know that we are one. So how is this? If you don't know, that means what? You are an ajnani. So if I am an ajnani, and then if the one person gets moksha, how will I get moksha? No, ultimately we are one. This argument does not work. If ultimately you are one, then give all your money to the person sitting next to you, just now. Because we are one. There is an expression, what is that? Your money is my money. You should end there. You should not say my money is also your money. No. Your money is my money. That is the only oneness I know. So, this doesn't work. This cannot work because everybody has but everybody is Brahman. Yes. Everybody has what? An individual body. Yes? Yeah. You end here. Where? Where the skin and the sensation of touch ends, you end. And some people are very sensitive. They can see auras. For them, you end here somewhere. For the rest of us, you end here. But for the sensitive people who see auras and everything, this is demonstrated by, what is that called? Kirlian photography. There's one Kirlian photography, and then the body is shown there, and then there is all kinds of auras and all these things. I don't see auras, and I don't want to also. Okay? I'm happy with seeing what most people are seeing. That's enough for me. But anyhow, people who see auras, they attest that, okay, at least sometimes, 4 inches above the skin, 6 inches above the skin, you can, above where you think you end, you still have that auric energetic field. There is truth to this. Because if somebody comes up behind you, they haven't even touched you, you sense them. How do you sense them? There is a Sakshi Pratyaksha going on because some kind of an electromagnetic field that is belonging to this upadhi has been violated, disturbed. That is how one senses it. So, but anyhow, that aside, wherever you end, you end. So this is where I end, and this is where you begin. This feeling is there. And it's not just a feeling, it's demonstrable. It is vyavaharika satta. It is a fact about the empirical reality that this Brahman is living in many bodies, many minds, and many sense organs. It's the same Brahman, all right. No argument there. This Brahman is living in all the bodies, all the minds. Brahman remaining the same, the identification with this particular body-mind sense complex as I is specific to that body. Chaitanya, Brahman is the same. Consciousness is the same in all bodies. But then, Deha avachinna chaitanyam. This Chaitanya, this consciousness is as it were conditioned by the body, conditioned by the mind, conditioned by the senses. So each person has their own personal rain cloud of ajnanam. That's why if one person dismisses their own rain cloud of ajnanam, the sun do not shine on your head. You have to dismiss your own ajnanam. When you dismiss your own ajnanam, by what? By pursuing Vedanta, which is opposed to Atmajnanam. By pursuing the knowledge of Vedanta, when you dismiss your ajnanam, what happens? Then samsara backs off, slowly walks back. Samsara is afraid of you. Samsara goes away, meaning the avarna. Samsara is nothing but avarna shakti of Maya. The avarna shakti of Maya goes away. The covering power, I am no longer covered, as it were. Atma can never be covered. That's why we have to keep saying, as though, as though. Yeah, I want, those munis have some handstands to do japa like this. So if you can get 2 handstands, I'll go permanently like this. As though, as though, as though. How many times you have to say? But it needs to be said. As though. Everything is as though. So, this covering, as though covering, which was there because of wrong identification. The wrong identification, to put it in the Mandukya Upanishad's words, what is that called? Anyatha jnanam. Ajnanam, I don't know myself. This is not really a problem. As I have mentioned many times before, animals don't know who they are. They don't know. Dog doesn't know I am God. It doesn't know. Yet it is happier than you. Definitely. If it is not abused, it is happily leading its life. For the ajnanam to be a cause of consternation, to be a problem, there should be something else. The ajnanam is overlaid by taking myself to be not what I am and not taking myself to be what I am. Atmani anatma adhyasa, anatmani atma adhyasa. This we have seen. Taking myself to be not what I am. What am I? Immortal. Amritam. But then what do I take myself to be? Mortal. Dead. Subject to death. Subject to old age. Atmani anatma adhyasa. In the infinite, the projection of the finite. This is one kind of adhyasa. There are many kinds, but here we are only taking 2 broad ones. And then projection in the infinite. The infinite is taken to be the finite. And then the opposite adhyasa is what? The finite is taken to be infinite. Therefore, what do I say? I say that this should be with me forever. Even in the 5th marriage, what is the vow? This time it is forever. What about the other 4 times? Shh, don't talk now. Yeah. Don't say inauspicious things now. Forever. That for the desire forever, the desire forever, for the forever, is projected onto things which are never forever. So the desire forever is projected onto things that are for higher. That's all. For the time being, you can enjoy them. Then you have to give it back. Everything is for higher. Even this body is for higher. After a while, you have to give it back. Even from this body is like a hotel room. Except Lord Yama checks you in and checks you out. That's all. It's like a hotel room. When you go to the hotel, do you start changing the interior decor of your room? Abba, why is it taking so long? Show me at least one sign of life. At least one sign of life if you show, it will be easier. People are thinking, oh well, That's not a bad idea to change the interior decor. Do you say, I don't like the painting, and rip it out of the wall and put it somewhere else? Do you say, I don't like where this table is put and this chair is put, and put it somewhere else? No. I don't like this light. I'm going to change this and rip it out of the wall and put it on this side. No. You are in fact relieved. You don't have to clean. You don't have to do anything. It's all ready for you. You check in, you check out. Because you're there for a different purpose. You're not there to sit in the room. Although I do that in hotels because that's kind of nice. Nobody bothers you. It's nice. That's kind of nice. In between retreats, I do that. But I'm weird. Most people are not like me. So, for most people, when do they go to the hotel? Because they want to go to the hotel because they have things to do in that particular Nagara, city. There's something to do, some place to go, some business to conduct. You conduct the business, you come back, you sleep, you rest, you get up, you conduct the business, and on the third day, what do? Give the key back, check out. Here also it is exactly the same. Same thing. You are in this upadhi, in this body-mind-sense complex for one purpose and to conduct the purpose of gaining Atma-jnanam. That is the business. That is the only business of the one that is embodied. Regardless of whether you take the path of Jnana Marga, meaning solely, Kevala Jnana Marga, only knowledge, or you do Karma Yoga and qualify for the knowledge and also take the classes while you're having your everyday life. Doesn't matter. Still you are fulfilling the karma of what? You're fulfilling jnanam. You're fulfilling your purpose. You are not there to do what is called Prakriti Seva. Prakriti is this body. Body is a gift of Prakriti, nature. Prakriti Seva means all the time doing something or the other to this body. Being body obsessed, being mind obsessed, being senses obsessed. That's not the thing. That means you're more interested in the hotel room than the business for which you came. And so, therefore, when I am able to see that starting with this body, everything is given to me for the purposes of gaining this knowledge, samsara does not have any hold. What does it do? Walk away from you. Samsara totally goes away. This covering, this wrong understanding that I am as good as this body, this avarana drops. In the dropping of this avarana, there is great relief. That is when the person is called a jnani. The avarana drops. Avarana Shakti means what? Maya Shakti that covers as though me from my own nature, it drops. And so therefore, what about Vikshepa? What about the projective power of Bhagavan? I am not concerned about the projective power of Bhagavan. The projective power of Bhagavan is I can enjoy. That continues because it is Ishvara Srishti. Avarna is what? Jiva Srishti. I have created this covering due to partially knowing this I. Like even the adhyasa of the snake over the rope. The snake is seen over the rope. Why? Because I do not know the nature of the rope. Therefore, the aropa, that I am an idiot, this is exactly like that, because I know the I is there, but the I is not fully known. I know I am, but what I am, I do not know. So therefore, I come to wrong conclusions about the I. Vedanta Shravanam removes wrong conclusions. What is there is just, whatever is there is Ishvara's glory in the form of this wonderful Jagat, all these wonderful people. So my subjectivity, the eclipse of subjectivity is gone, and I enjoy the objectivity as myself, as Bhagavan. This is what means samsara vinivrittihi, the backing off and the returning of samsara. It returns back to where it came from ajnanam. Ajnanam is not with me, samsara is also therefore gone. More we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. 11:15 is the next class, and then after that, what is the other class? 4 o'clock today, not 4:30. Yoga will be from 2:30 to 3:30.